And live. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the championship edition of Final Save Points. God damn it, I fucked it up already. The video
That was
game
fast.
battle. Yes, thank you. Anyways,
We're sorry, children of all ages, for the
Yes.
language. But
That's
I probably present to you the super hyper
Uh-oh.
championship Nick style process. We
What?
have
I don't sound like a
Jesse, a
robot.
fact check.
yo,
Oh, sorry. Yeah, he doesn't. Zane is also
Hello.
fighting from last week's, and then there's also me, who is fighting this week for the championship, and then we have our lovely, beautiful host Rick,
Hi.
who there he is. All right, so this is the championship. This is the last episode of the season. After this, we will have a reigning champion that will go on into all the other episodes starting next year. So from there, I will hand over the reins to Rick. Get this game started.
All right, let's just get right into it. First question is, who does RPGs the best? Bethesda, Bioware, or Square? And Nick, I'll let you go first.
Bethesda, because it's the only ones I've played for like more than an hour, besides Chrono Trigger. Other than that, I don't know. I like the worlds. I like how they have like a big grand side mission on as a PC player. It's cool because there's a huge community and like a lot of their games. It just keeps on expanding the world, and they're not like jerks about it and be like, no, this is like Grand Theft Auto. You must not do this. So that's pretty cool. But honestly, like I think Bethesda's really killing it now. As far as like mechanics or anything, I can't really put anything on it. It's like somebody that's mostly like a first-person shooter fan. It's probably the closest I'd get to like really enjoying an RPG. So.
All right, Joe, go
Everybody
for
else
it.
win.
All right, I am going with Bioware. Now, Bioware I consider the best, for sure, American RPG maker, if not the best in all. Basically, they have a huge pedigree going back all the way to Baldur's Gate, which is based on the Dungeons and Dragons franchise, which are considered classics, and they even have the HD remake that was done recently of that. But also they go into such games as Neverwinter Nights, the great KOTOR games, mostly the first one, the second one they handed off the reins to Obsidian. But and also I think it really came into their own with that, with storytelling, and branched off into Mass Effect, which none of the other RPG companies out there can compare to what Bethesda has done for role-playing, not just in the realm of your stats and whatnot, but storytelling, choosing dialogue and doing, really branching the story off and making your own characters, and even making you really bond with your own characters. So, and that goes all the way into Dragon Age, and Inquisition knocked it out of the park. So they are the best RPG company out right now.
Mm-hmm. Jesse, you caught that too.
yes, I did.
What did I say?
You said
You
Bethesda
slipped into
instead of
saying
Bioware.
Bethesda.
Oh, Bioware. Sorry.
They both have B's.
Yeah.
All right, Zane, go for it.
Square. Square Enix. They're like they have a very long history of developing some of the best RPGs just ever. Like when you're talking about other RPGs, say Chrono Trigger. I think that was Square Enix or one of the two or at the time.
Soft.
It was also $90 in 1995, which equates to about $140 today. So I was sure as hell I was going to play that fucking game.
But it was still incredibly popular. So they did, the Chrono games. They did Final Fantasy. They've done Dragon Quest. They have a very broad range of them. They've done, even Final Fantasy has evolved a lot over the years. Sometimes for better, sometimes for worse. But it is the iconic JRPG series, and Square is the iconic JRPG company.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Okay.
All right,
Something caught in my throat. Sorry.
You're okay, Jesse.
Nick, what do you got for him?
I got nothing. You guys win this one. I know shit about RPGs.
Okay, then.
All right, Joe.
I was ready to tear Bethesda apart, even though I accidentally said Bethesda. But all right. Well, with Square, I think Square had a good heyday back in the late '90s, but I think they have really fallen off the map. They really haven't put out anything noteworthy in the past 10 years, and really the only thing anyone talks about now is like the remakes of 10. BioWare keeps putting out great stuff that everyone is falling in love with. Square they can't live up to what they used to be. And Bethesda just makes buggy ass games.
But we love that.
Fact checking real quick. People aren't talking about 10, they're talking about 7. So we're going to go with that.
Exactly. Talking about the remakes, no one cares about the new ones.
Also
All right.
not entirely true, but I'll let it go. But
Go ahead, Zane. Give it to him.
I think Square, people always talk about Final Fantasy, but they also have a lot going on besides just Final Fantasy. They have the Dragon Quest games. They have spin-offs of Final Fantasy
Those
games.
never do well, and don't bring up Last Remnant because that sucked too.
All huge hits. But Square makes a lot more games than people give them credit for. Like, they are constantly putting out RPGs, remakes of their old RPGs, spin-offs of their RPGs.
Yeah, because they have to.
Games on different platforms. I think they experiment a lot more. Even with their core series, they keep pushing it in different directions. They do a lot of spin-offs and different tries on things. And so I have to admire their ability to, they have this long history, but they're not just that. They do tend to fall back on some of their old ones a lot, like remakes and things. But like the Kingdom Hearts games, it's been 10 years since Kingdom Hearts 2 came out. And so a lot of people talk about how odd it is that they've strung it out with these, midquels story-wise.
But no one really cares about, and everyone is always pissed every single time one of those comes out because they just
Kingdom
want
Hearts,
3.
though, is fantastic. Like, I've played all of them except Birth by Sleep, and they're all good. Like the Game Boy Advance game, amazingly good. The PS2 remake of the Game Boy Advance game, it's fantastic. Like, they mix up the mechanics in a completely ridiculous way, like taking this core action gameplay and mixing in cards, but they do it so well. So gameplay-wise, I haven't been let down by any of those. And so I want to complain about how long they've strung it out, but they keep making good games throughout all of it. People are still excited about it, in spite of, it being 10 years and then putting up with all these awkward names like 358 over 2 days for a game title. It's weird, but clearly people like it if they can get away with all that. And also, Final Fantasy 15 visually is incredible. It just blows me away whenever I see their engine demos. It's just beautiful stuff. It's not so much of a problem for BioWare, but Bethesda has a serious problem with graphical glitches and glitches in general. And I think they're expensive, but they're not that well polished.
But that's what's awesome. Don't you want to see a guy
That's
walking
what
with his
players
fucking
can
ass
make
out?
awesome.
Like, I
Like,
saw
you
a
have
dude
to
once where his
really
head is
hard
literally
on
like
modding
hanging out of his
community.
asshole. It was cool.
Is it a strong RPG, though? Is that what the company was shooting for?
I'll give
Like,
you this
it's
right now. I'll give you this right
interesting,
now.
But
Back when I was a kid in '95 or so, Square ruled the world. I mean, they convinced everybody to buy their games. They convinced me to buy a game, which essentially is $140 today because cartridges are too damn expensive back then. And what I played of it, I enjoyed. Okay, but like at the end of the day, when I put it down, I felt like anything else I tried after that for the short period of time that I could stand it was the same thing essentially over and over. There wasn't enough difference there for me that somebody can't latch on to RPGs to be much of a fan. With Bethesda, I find myself a lot of times, like, I'm looking for those graphical glitches. I don't even play the game. I just go around and do stupid stuff. It's like
that is
stupid simulator, It is what I like open worlds, and I like that part about them. But as far as the RPG aspects of most of these games, I don't get into it. But at least Bethesda has some part of it that I can get into.
One of the things I love about Square is the storytelling aspect. Like, they very frequently have strong stories. in games.
I totally disagree.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, one that everyone always goes back to is, of course, the whole thing of Aerith dying. To be honest, in the storytelling point, it was on the first disc. She was crappy compared to Tifa. No one should care. It was terrible.
But people
terrible
do care.
story. That's just
It wouldn't
weird
have stuck
people-
with people if they didn't care.
Oh, it's just a weird thing. Like they shouldn't care. Is my point. It was so badly done, so badly written that it is anything that or not Bethesda. Well, even Bethesda, but BioWare for sure has come up with great storytelling. I fucking cried in Mass Effect 3 when Thane died. Sorry, spoiler. But
Damn it.
yeah. So I mean, I shed a tear because his development and everything was so much better, and they waited until later on for you to for that to happen, where I did build this relationship with him, and it was all based on actual selections in my dialogue to him that shaped this character to who he was. Yeah.
That is terrifying. What am I looking at? I guess that's not supposed to happen.
I think he had an 8-ball, maybe? I don't know.
Also, yeah, Square games are, even though people think they're not linear, they are super linear. There is one.
Now you see, that's something I've
story
never
arc.
understood. Like people pushing so hard for non-linearity in games, and especially with RPGs and Square RPGs. Like I hear that Final Fantasy 13 doesn't branch off a lot, and I think, oh great, I don't have all these side quests that I'm not going to get to, or things that I can accidentally skip over. Like the thing I hate about Final Fantasy 9 the most is that you can miss so much stuff, like stuff that happens on disc 1 through 3. That once you get to 4,
And that's, I think, part
it's
of the
gone.
beauty of a good RPG, though, is the fact that there is so much stuff. There's stuff that you can miss, even, and that you can go back and play it, and you're just like, holy crap, that's there. Why did I not see that the first time?
I will
think-
say it is a role-playing game. You're supposed to be participating in that world, and if you don't have side missions and stuff, it doesn't really ground you to
I like
it.
some missions, but I don't like it when you get so far off of the game and trapped in all these side quests and things. Like one of the games that was, Square that was not as well received as the others was Final Fantasy 12. And one of the main complaints I heard about that was it was just side quest city everywhere. Like I really love that core narrative, and so I like it when they stick to that and make that strong.
I will say, Final Fantasy 12 had a great main character in, was it Bothier, right?
Mhm.
Both here. Yeah.
Yep, both of you.
It was
Final
a joke.
Fantasy console?
Yeah, he's not really the main character. We all know it was Vaughn, right?
Who?
Yeah.
Ash, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. But I mean, that's what I mean. Like the main character was not even interesting. You cared more about the side character in that.
What was great about that, just a little tidbit, is the fact that you could switch him out of your party and not even play as him.
That is true.
Okay. Something I want to hit on real quick, just to kind of help Zane out a little bit. Joe, would you agree that right now BioWare is in its prime?
I would say yeah, they're definitely at the top of their game. I thought that even after the doctors left, that they would take a hit, but Dragon Age Inquisition was downright amazing, and I understand exactly why it got so many Game of the Year awards.
So Zane, when would you say Square's prime was? And how could you compare that to BioWare?
Well, the question isn't who is the best RPG company today. The question was best at RPGs, Bethesda, BioWare, Square. It didn't say when or like today only. Like if you look at their whole history, Square has a very strong history, and like they continue to do stuff. So even if they're not in their prime right now,
No. I'm saying, when would you say their prime was, and how would you compare that time period to BioWare now?
it's hard to pick between the Super Nintendo era and the PlayStation era because they had two really good runs of games for both of those. I would say they were bigger then, but they also didn't have quite a strong competition or such big name competition. So I'm not sure if it's fair to compare them there.
Well, I don't think it
I
necessarily
think
needs to be separated by console. It just like basically time period, like year, like around time.
also I think Zane actually with that point was helping me out there because BioWare has tons of competition where Square didn't have as much back then.
But BioWare is not quite as much of a household name as Square was in the RPG circle. Like, it's still very common, still very strong.
Really? In the RPG circle, you're trying to tell me people don't know who BioWare is?
People know what a chocobo is. Like, even some of the most obscure things about Final Fantasy are iconic.
Oh, I really agree with that.
I can't tell you that much about a lot of BioWare games. Like, I haven't played them, so I don't have any like iconic characters that I'm aware of, iconic parts of the world that I'm aware of.
I
have some rough knowledge of BioShock, but I couldn't name any characters from Mass Effect.
BioShock's not BioWare.
It's not.
See? I have no idea what I'm talking about.
And that's why you'll win the argument.
BioShock, though.
Oh, that's
Irrational games.
Wow. I can't believe I screwed that. Oh, BioShock, BioWare. Ha! That's what's wrong with my brain.
Or 2K Marin for the first one, technically.
Jeez, then I don't have any iconic characters from Bethesda. Or not, sorry, not Bethesda, from BioWare.
Oh, yeah, Bethesda doesn't really have iconic characters.
Just let them keep talking.
Like BioWare, I don't have any iconic characters from them.
Well, I mean, Shepard is like a huge character, and also people love Garrus from
Who?
Garrus? Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Dude, just leave him alone. He's working on some calculations, all right?
Oh.
All right.
I hate to say, I don't know what I'm talking about on this, but I don't know who these characters are. Whereas in Final Fantasy, there are so many Final Fantasy characters that even if you haven't played that game, you know who they are.
Well, yeah.
Like, you're
I think it's a little
aware of
unfair, too, with that, because, I mean, that's 20 years ago.
Looking for which one's the best company with RPGs, and they have a very strong history. Like, you can make arguments about who's putting out the best ones right now, but what are we asking about? Like, who's the best right now, or who is the best company overall with RPGs?
Well, I mean, that's like with even like older movies, like a lot of stuff is going to be more memorable than a movie that is way better now. It's just because it's been around so long, so it's going to have more of that resonance. Where with BioWare, as we said, we think they're in their prime, but I mean, even BioWare, even back in the day with Baldur's Gate and MDK2 and Neverwinter Nights were fantastic RPGs. And I mean, they still had great notoriety in the gaming world.
But I'm not sure if they had the same reach as PlayStation games or Super Nintendo games.
Oh yeah, those ones. I would say that was during where Square was probably outselling them for sure at that time. But Square doesn't even come close to BioWare now.
I just want to mention Fallout 4 beat sales day one of GTA 5 on Steam. Boom, thrown down.
Wait, you're still here?
I gave up. I'm trying a little bit. I'm just really, like, honestly, all I'm trying to do at this point is just stir shit between them because I think it's funny.
All right, Jesse, do you have anything for me or anything you would like to add?
Square became Square Enix in 2003. And Baldur's Gate came out in, I think, 99?
Yeah.
98.
98. Okay.
Yeah, I remember that because, what was it? My brother got it right when we upgraded.
Yeah.
There you go.
I see what that is. Yep, 98.
Yeah, you were looking at the expansion.
I was.
Let me rephrase that, Jesse. I need your help.
Oh, sure. It's a toughie.
Bethesda. Because if the
question was about Square instead of Square Enix, can we even count the modern Square Enix?
You know what? Anybody was born like around the N64 time don't even know what you're talking about, anyways. So just forget it. I don't know what a chocobo is.
I don't know.
I don't know. People like chickens.
Even kids these days know what a chocobo is. They can point out a Moogle on the street.
Is that like when a pimp chokes?
Too many variations of
Chocobo?
Mogul. Also chocobos, yeah.
Oh, I thought it said chocoho. Jeez.
Okay, so
Rude.
Jesse, you still never did help me, damn it.
Because I don't know what to tell you.
Oh,
I just
God.
know my personal preferences. And that I'm not allowed to use that whenever it comes to an argument.
Monster Hunter doesn't
Monster Hunter.
count.
Ah, damn it.
She chose Capcom.
All right. I am going to go with Zane, I believe.
Oh, why thank you.
Wow. Okay.
Joe was giving you hell, but you kept fighting back. If nothing else, you get a point for tenacity.
Okay, I see how this goes.
Desperation.
Your tenacity will pierce the heavens. So,
All right.
yeah.
So next question. What is the worst simulator you've seen? Joe, you get to go first.
Okay, I'm gonna say Ghost Simulator because when I played this game,
Figures.
I was expecting like I was gonna be grazing, and eating grass and maybe getting fed and walking around in my pen. No, I just go flying through the goddamn air, hitting shit. This is the worst simulator ever. It is nothing like being a goat or taking care of one. It is just totally ridiculous and off the rails, and that is why it is the worst simulator.
Okay. Zane, what do you got?
Well, while Goat Simulator fails for being too unlike a goat, my game fails for being entirely too accurate. It's from a Sega CD game that was never, I think, entirely released, called Penn and Teller's Smoke and Mirrors. And the game is basically a set of tools to help you do magic tricks with your TV. But that's not the part that I'm calling out as particularly strange as a simulator. Desert Bus. There is a minigame in that called Desert Bus, in which you drive from Tucson to Las Vegas in real time at a maximum speed of 45 miles per hour. It takes 8 hours to do, cannot be paused, has really no interesting features, and it requires constant attention because the bus is always leaning slightly to the side and needs constant correction to keep you from going off the road and resetting the trip. When you reach Las Vegas, you gain 1 point, turn around, and do it again going the other way. It's Desert Bus. It's like if you were a horrible, like mistreated trucker who just had to drive for 8 hours solid, and you couldn't stop. Couldn't even pull over to get gas or use the restroom. You just had to keep going. It's the stuff that will drive a man mad.
Then
It's not
apparently
supposed
does
to
not
happen.
get us
And cans that leaning is why you get your tires rotated.
It's accurate and sick and insane. It's disturbing and it keeps me up at night.
All right, Nick, what do you got?
Well, I was gonna say Goat Simulator, but I guess I'll pick Surgeon Simulator. Seeing that it's not made me any better at the game of operation at all,
That just seems misleading.
and I've learned since then that actually hitting people in the chest with a ball-peen hammer does not make the ribs crack open easily. So
Do you have a
Oh,
video
shoot,
of
I
that up?
made a mistake today.
I'm sorry. What was the question?
I said, do you have a video of that up somewhere?
We don't take videos of that.
He will tomorrow.
All I know is you put mattresses up before you operate. Normal, right?
All right, Joe, what do you got for him?
Okay, so basically, the whole point of a simulator is to help show you and teach you something. Now, where Surgeon Simulator is mostly for fun, it at least has correct anatomy and kind of gives you an idea of what it's like to take parts out and whatnot for a human being. Even though it's a little silly, but it's at least anatomically correct. Now, with the Penn and Teller one, it teaches you actually how to do some magic tricks, or whatever, and also it really does give you the idea of what it'd be like to drive a tour bus. They're not exactly stable. You have to keep constant, track of them. Now, where Goat Simulator, I mean, like, when do goats ever have to get small goat statues forever in their life? It makes no goddamn sense. And they have a scoring system for that. Like, that's not the point of a simulator. It is to teach you something about what its subject matter, and Goat Simulator is totally inaccurate.
Now you see, there is not a sentence in that description of Goat Simulator that has not made me want to go out and play Goat Simulator. It sounds amazing, inaccurate, but fantastic. Like, are we talking about a fun simulator, an exciting simulator, a simulator people want to do, or, well, Desert Bus, which nobody would ever possibly want to do?
Dude, people love
It's
Euro
accurate.
Truck Simulator.
It's accurate.
And you have to be very accurate. And it is a great game. So, I mean, Penn and Teller, I can't really necessarily compare it because it's a long, long time ago and things weren't quite up. But at least for the time, it was, being revolutionary in the fact that it actually made you do that stuff. And again, it actually taught you some sweet magic tricks along the way.
Well,
Sweet magic
every
tricks.
once in a while.
You have to use software to do them. How much fun is that?
That's the
not
point.
Magic. That is a toy.
All this is software. That's not a fair
We're
argument.
talking about magic tricks. That's not sleight of hand. That's sleight of don't look at the TV. That's not.
Well,
but Desert Bus doesn't teach you anything you didn't already know.
I will say, as somebody that was offered Truck Simulator for free or Euro Truck Simulator for free and turned it down because God no. And having played Desert Bus and don't understand why anybody in their right mind would not just turn the Sega CD immediately off upon starting that shit up. Surgeon Simulator is, I feel, more like a simulator for drunkenness than actually learning how to simulate taking out organs. Because in nobody's right mind should you ever take it out with a hacksaw or just pull it straight out.
It's
I mean, we're not
old school.
disavowing
They used to
people.
use hacksaws all the time, but yeah.
I feel like I'm operating on William Wallace, and I should be expecting him to scream freedom any minute now.
Like, it's not accurate, but it's not supposed to be. It's cartoony, gory fun.
Dude, they actually have you in Surgeon Simulator actually have to use each one of your fingers on the keyboards and mouse to get that accurate grip. And, it's really hard, especially if, the ambulance is going really fast around corners and knocking stuff all over the place.
Look, in real life, I can just grab things and put them down. In Surgeon Simulator,
I was
it's
really
worse
hoping
than a
you'd drop
fucking
that.
claw machine.
I don't know why you guys are just accurate. If you want to be a goat, go out and just eat grass. Be a goat. You can do that. Have fun. But if you want to fly around and have goat adventures, Goat Simulator sounds like a pretty good time.
I'm going to say to people, I do not recommend that people go out and try to become goats. We do not we do not condone that at all.
Whatever, go shit on
Grass
me.
is a
I don't
vegetable,
care.
right? Probably.
Speaking of which, Grant is missing, so you probably know where he's at now.
Actually, I do know where he's at, but it's his sister's birthday today, so that's why he's gone.
Ah.
Well, come on, like Penn and Teller, they're lively, yay! And really, to be honest, like
Super
Desert Bus was just a bonus thing. It wasn't even part of the main game. It was just in there just kind of for fun, or I guess they thought it was fun. Terrible joke. But and then like Goat Simulator, everything I hear about it, it has simulator in the name, but I want to play it. It doesn't sound terrible at all. I mean, seeing a goat's head wig out and go through his own body and stuff. I want to do that. I want to maim people. I want to have things caught in my horns, like tables, chairs.
The question is it a good simulator? And no, it is
Well,
not.
what
It is
makes
far
a good
from it.
It's a good simulator
Accuracy
for
or
what it
fun?
aims to do, which is
Like-
complete chaos, obviously.
What is the difference between what makes Goat Simulator good or bad, and what makes Surgeon Simulator good or bad? Like, can you
Surgeon
compare and contrast
Simulator-
those? Like, they're both goofy, wacky fun that are not accurate simulators.
Okay,
They
so
seem
for
pretty
somebody
similar to
like
me.
me, I like screwing stuff up. It's fun. I like making things go blow up and taking goats in their stupid bodies and making them go over ramps like this and stuff. That's really fun. Surgeon Simulator, I'm pulling organs out and I'm drunk. As far
You're
as I
just
can tell.
totally
Well, that's
wrecking
just because
the body, though.
you use
That
the
sounds
morphine on
like
yourself.
the same
You're not
chaotic
supposed
fun.
to do that.
I mean, it's essentially like a fucked up version of Operation, and I didn't like Operation.
That's the
very
idea,
much.
Operation-
though.
Operation is a really simple simulator. It's just it's more complex.
I like magic tricks. I'd like to learn how to do magic tricks.
Would you like to do magic tricks, though, that you can only do with a Sega CD?
You know what? Chicks love magic tricks.
But do
I
they
bet you
love
if I
Sega
picked up that
CD?
game, I could pick up lots of tail. How much you want to bet?
Silly Rick. Tricks are for kids.
Apparently not. I bet you Penn and Teller's laid more pipe than all of us.
I guarantee it.
And then they made it disappear. But
All right, I think.
I do have
Jess-
videos of each of these.
Oh God. I'm just going to call this one. I'm going to give it to
Okay.
Joe.
Yes! Oh shit! I forgot to be doing this. Oh, I pulled that one out of my ass. Oh yeah, I will give you that. That Penn and Teller game is
19
awful.
Seconds.
Okay, now that we're done with that argument, it is an awful game.
Oh,
It's a
it's
pipe
like
simulator.
dripping with sarcasm.
Okay. Okay. So, next question. What is the best animal companion in a game, and it cannot talk or wield an axe or any of that fun stuff? So, Zane, you get to go first.
Aggro the horse from Shadow of the Colossus. Now, I know this game is old, but if anyone hasn't finished Shadow of the Colossus, get out. There are spoilers.
All right, give me a minute.
No, Jesse! Aggro is your constant companion throughout most of the game. You occasionally have to leave him behind, like for places, if you're climbing up a cliff or something that you can't go. But generally, he's with you, and he's kind of the only one with you. Like, Shadow of the Colossus is known for its vast expanses of just empty space in between the colossi. And it's just you and your horse, and he's the only one there to keep you company, to keep you sane. Wander, like the main character, is kind of losing his grip on things throughout the game as he kills colossi, and he's trying to revive his, dead girlfriend or wife or sister. It's not really clear on that. He's lost someone he loves, and Aggro is the only one there for him. Like, that's his emotional support, it's his physical support. They fight the colossi together. He controls really well for a horse. Like, driving a horse in games can be a really difficult prospect. And Aggro controls pretty well. Like, you can shoot bow and arrow off of horseback with him, and it's not too clumsy. And you can fight the colossi, and he gives you a great sense of speed. And he's a great mechanic as a horse, and he's a great character as an emotional support vehicle. And he dies at the end.
Oh, damn it!
I told you there were spoilers! He dies right before you fight the last Colossus. You're like running off a cliff and have to do, kind of Yoshi Mario sacrifice jump. And it's so sad.
Does he punch him in the back of the head?
No. But it's so sad because Wanderer is completely alone now. And I've never been so sad about like an animal companion dying.
It is a horse, though, right?
Yes, it is a horse.
Well, bright side is
donkey.
I have plenty of glue.
I can't even laugh because I miss Aggro so much.
Oh.
That game is just so emotional, and Aggro
It's okay,
is there
people.
through you.
He got HD remade.
I know. And then he died in HD. So, that's all I can say. That's all I can say.
All right, Nick.
Aggro, Shadow of the Colossus. Boom.
Go ahead, Nick. Get us undepressed now.
I'm sorry, audience.
Yeah, I picked the Metroid from Metroid 2, Return to Samus. It is the last Metroid. And first of all, it's a gelatinous dome with teeth, so that's awesome. But yeah, it will go around and fuck shit up for Samus because it thinks it's its mother. So yeah, that's all I got. I'm not gonna depress it. And I don't think it died. Did it? I don't
Wow,
know.
it really left an impact on you, didn't it?
How'd Super Metroid 3 end? I don't know.
So something has to die to leave an impact? What?
Maybe.
Well, it does die, and I thought you'd remember that.
Maybe it's happy.
Oh, you're right. Well, I just noticed something with all the ones that we chose.
Has a good ending.
They all die, don't they?
Hey, every good animal movie has the old yeller ending.
He is yellow. I'll
Animals
give you
die,
that.
and it's sad.
Joe, please tell me what yours is.
Joe, go for it.
All right. Now let me tell you about a little game called Fable 2, where you have this dog that he's brought to you, when you're, fully grown or whatever, and you build an emotional connection with him. He is a trusty companion. He's with you the whole time. He helps you find stuff. He points and he actually will dig up little treasures and whatnot. You can even have a ball you can throw to him. You can teach him new tricks. You can get all kinds of stuff. It's this great animal companion that's with you, and you actually interact and you can pet it and everything. It's a bond that is a little bit more than just a vehicle that is Aggro the horse.
How dare you, sir?
Also, the Metroid, and I'll get to that. But anyway, so this dog is with you throughout the whole game. It helps you throughout every single mission in some way or the other, and also in the end, yes, it does actually do the same thing. It does sacrifice itself for you at the end of the game. It doesn't just fall off a cliff. It actually takes a bullet for you, and the emotional connection was so heavy with that game, with that character. Everyone loved the dog so much that they had to make a DLC where you could bring the dog back to life because people were so pissed that they killed the dog off. It was, such a great companion throughout the game and very important to the story.
I
It's
thought
good.
that was one of your choices at the end, though. Wasn't it? Wasn't one of the choices like you could save the dog?
Yes, but you erase everything else. So you could do that, but they made it so that even because it was a really selfish ending, so a lot of people could not choose that. It was a really, really hard decision, and that is another thank you, Jesse. Another great thing about that game and that companion. He's very, very
I
important.
wouldn't have a problem with that choice. What are you talking about?
You wouldn't, but you don't care
my
about other
dog.
people. You're just like, it's my dog. Yeah, exactly, and that is, it works even for him.
Sounds like you're fucking broken.
All right, Zane, what do you got for him?
Yeah, I mean, the dog sounds like a great companion, but are you dependent on him? Like, one of the things I love about Aggro is that Wander is completely dependent on him as his only emotional support, his only way around this massive landscape. Like, when Aggro dies, you know you're at the end of the game because you can't make it around that entire world without him.
Can you pet the horse?
Can you pet the horse?
Yes.
I don't remember if you can pet the
You can pet
horse.
the dog in Fable 2.
Fact
Answer.
checking right now.
I'm pretty sure he does go up and pet him.
I feel like Wander is dependent on the horse. Like, I don't know about that dog if you have to have him through the entire game, or if you can lose him earlier, or like what your choices are in Fable. But Aggro is such a huge character because there are so few characters in Shadow of the Colossus.
Oh, so he's big because he's one of two characters?
Because you are emotionally dependent on him. Like, he becomes not just a horse, like, he is a mythic character in this story.
You
His
can pet the
role-
horse.
You can?
You can pet the horse.
Wow, awesome.
Thought so.
I like-
Actually, did not know that.
He's
Press-
so wonderful. Like,
You
yeah,
press O
controls
and
are
standing
intuitive.
next to him.
Uh,
Or while sitting on him
Very
and not moving. So, there you go.
Like,
But
he's
even
so
so,
well
you can
animated.
name the dog. You can't name the horse. It has Aggro.
They both sound boring. Sorry.
So, I like this
got a
coming from
horse
the man who
that's
can't
dead.
remember if
What
the
am I
baby
gonna do with that?
dies
Make
or not.
glue or have a couple steaks, and then you've got a dog that you let get shot because you got this stupid thing called morality,
Well, also,
which nobody should ever have. But whatever.
Now, one of the things I like about
No,
Aggro is
no,
that
it's
you are
fine.
res-
You guys talked long enough. Anyway. Anyways, like, I mean, we're talking about a freaking Metroid. Can the horse go latch onto somebody and suck their life force out? No, that's flipping awesome, and it glows cool ass colors like a mood lamp. Unless you're on Game Boy, which is just piss green, but whatever. And I mean, like, I think actually in Fusion, I don't remember if they took the Metroid, sacrificed it, ran it through a blender, or just took something from it. But when Samus was infected, she could actually use the Metroid, and they fused it with her to make her have like cool extra powers and shit. It's like, can you do that with a horse or a dog? No, I think not. Like the coolest thing I heard
That
about
sounds
this,
kind
Joe
of
could,
disturbing. Like if
Joe
the
could have
baby
fucked
Metroid is
everybody
Samus's
over
child.
to save his dog and decide not to. Like he's like, no, it's a dog. Everybody else is. So you've already ultimately made the choice about your animal. You're like, it's not important enough to live. So here.
I was saying it's a really hard choice because that animal has such a huge connection on the people who
Obviously
play that
not
game.
enough.
One of the things I love about Aggro is that you are responsible for doing this to him. Like you've led him into this wasteland. You've led him into fights with all these huge monsters. Like he dies because of you.
So what you're telling me is ultimately you
always
killed
stays
your
with you.
animal too, where
Yeah.
my person had to get infected.
It plays into
the
Shadow of
last
the Colossus'
minute
story
ditch
where you're
effort.
corrupting yourself. Like you are doing something bad in Shadow of the Colossus. You're killing the Colossi, and as you're doing this to Aggro,
Okay, so basically what you're telling me is
It's
I
a
should win
deep
because you
story.
both killed your animals off, like on purpose.
yeah, and he loves you anyways.
You
Like,
have no
but he's
proof
doing
that he's
something
dead.
terrible,
One's
and
blue, the
he's
other
dead,
one's.
There with
Yeah.
you. It's emotionally tough.
Is it really emotionally tough? Is it actually
is.
a decision though that you actually physically have to make in that game? Isn't it just part of the story that happens? It isn't actually put onto you itself.
I would have still done it the same
I
way.
feel like you're still acting it out though. Like even if it's not a branching narrative, you're still the one who's continuing the game. You're still killing the Colossi. You're still leading around the die. Like you don't have a choice in it, but you have the choice to keep playing, and so I feel like it still resonates the same.
You got a horse, a dog, and a thing that can suck people's life out. You know what to do.
Well, the dog can attack people, and also, as you go throughout the game too, if you, depending on how you align, the dog will actually even like change its fur to like darker color and get like red eyes if you're really evil and be more aggressive as well. So I mean, it's also it's a character. It's a character on its own that grows with the player.
Can the dog
More
do a
reason
Psycho
why to
Crusher or
get
something
attached to
cool
it.
like that?
Wait, what? Sorry, you broke up a little bit.
I said, can the dog do a Psycho Crusher or something cool like that when it's evil? Can it shoot lightning like Palpatine or anything cool? Or does it just
Yeah.
look dark?
More.
So basically, it's a mood lamp, and now.
It's pretty badass though when attacking other people and knock you out.
All right, Jesse, do you have anything?
The dog can dig up condoms.
That is true. See, it even helps you in your sex life and protects you from other horrible things such as STDs.
Yeah, because I want a condom out of the ground.
What it doesn't
That
say
sounds
is whether
nice.
or not they're used.
Definitely protecting.
So,
It's a dog's chew toy. I wonders why I wanted to get shot.
Why is the dog squeaking?
The dog's like, he only gives me condoms for chew toys. I want to die.
Let that fucking thing take a bullet.
and we've already established that you can pet aggro.
Mhm.
You can show it affection.
Because Aggro's the best.
Yeah.
Also,
He's innocent and he loves you.
Until you throw
How
it
does?
off.
Okay, I do have a question.
And the
though. How
baby
does-
Metroid does not kill you.
Yeah, that's true. How does aggro come into the life of Wanderer?
He's there at the beginning of the game. He comes with you into the Forbidden Land, which is where the game takes place. Like,
If I
you lead
remember,
him in there.
okay, I'm trying to think. With the Metroid is. I feel like I got knocked down Nick a little bit here. With the Metroid, it's not really a companion though. It's something that shows up in the story at like the most weird time to help you and save you, but it's not actually something that follows you around in the game throughout the whole game. It's just something that's like a plot point here and there. It's almost like to the same regard as like Knuckles and Sonic 3. It just
Yeah.
shows up every once in a while.
Like I love the symbolism. I love the baby Metroid, but he's
Mhm.
not a constant companion with you throughout the game. Like the dog and Aggro are there with you all the time. You cannot
Oh.
picture the game without them. Or,
Right.
I don't
Also,
know
it's
about
on
the
Metroid
dog.
2. No
You
one
can't.
cares.
Somebody cared enough to try to make a remake of it.
I know they still haven't done it.
Yeah, because Nintendo told them to stop.
Nope. He's still making it.
Yeah, that's what he says.
Kind of. Really kind of started making his own Metroid game. I don't know how Nintendo hasn't told him to stop yet.
I think they did.
No, they haven't. I just checked the other day.
Okay. Alright.
All right, Jesse, I need some input. Help me out here.
Let's see. I would most likely go with one of the two dead, actually animals.
One's not an animal? What? Because it's just different looking from what you're.
Yes, it's an alien. It's a
You
freak of
fucking
nature that
racist.
sucks people's life force out. It's a fucking monster and it needs to die.
That's awesome.
Why do you
Will
think
you
we
admit-
freeze them and then shoot them with missiles? There's a reason for this.
That's sweet.
Oh God, this is a tough one too.
You're basically choosing between used condoms and a horse you can pet. But yeah.
I would choose given those two.
They're not
Or maybe
used
not-
per se.
It
would they
doesn't
be in the
matter. If you
ground,
got
too?
them out of the
Why
ground,
would they be
they're
in
no
the
good to
ground?
anyone.
Dude, they didn't have plastic. I'm sorry, but
Yeah, it's probably like lamb skin or something.
If a
Whatever,
dog
that
brought
stuff
you,
is smooth.
if a dog brought you a condom out of the ground, would you use it?
Probably shoot it.
That is a worry.
If I didn't have anything else in the Fable world, you take your chances.
I'll be
That's
honest, I don't know where you buy condoms in that game.
Exactly. That's the only way.
Also, that was the most Joe-like answer you probably could have gave.
Who, me?
Yeah. Oh, God. All right. I have no idea.
It's
It
hard
is
being judge, isn't it?
It's
You don't
very hard.
really want to say Metroid, don't you? You're just like, these are like two animals.
No,
That's just,
I think they killed the Metroid. I'm sorry.
oh.
I was on your side, and then they killed you. So,
I can tell you which one I would personally go to.
all
I
right.
know which
That's
one you
all
would
I-
go to, Jesse.
Well, let's hear it. Why?
Yeah, go.
Go for it.
Monster
I
Hunter.
personally would go with Yoshi because you punch him in the back of the head
Oh, jeez.
and he still jumps off. But the
Uh,
closest thing to that is aggro. So
Maybe you punch him off in the back of the head before you kill him. I don't know.
he's
All
not
right.
a
Actually,
donkey.
I want to go with aggro. Yeah, because he made a good point. That game is absolutely fucking impossible without the horse.
it is.
I
You
mean,
really need him.
you can walk without the horse,
Fair
but
enough.
that's gonna take a
Do
Yeah,
it the same.
there's some colossi that you're required to be on that horse.
Yeah, that would not work without the horse.
a long time. All right, next question. The strongest female lead character in a game. And Nick, you get to go first.
Old school Lara Croft from the original PlayStation PC games, because really up until that point there wasn't really a major female character. There was some here and there, like Samus technically, but nobody knew that Samus was a female until the end of Metroid anyways. It was kind of like the shocker, and I think most kids didn't even freaking beat the game, to be honest with you, because their freaking NES games are hard. Like, a lot of kids would just buy them, trade them back and forth, and be like, oh, how far did you get? And then that's about it. Like, I didn't even know she was a female until years later, so I was like, oh, okay, cool. But with Lara Croft, she was the first one they kind of said, despite her being a woman, she's doing all this crazy tomb raiding. They made her almost on the same level as almost like a superhuman kind of person, almost unbelievable some of the stuff that she's doing. And although I would say the storytelling's kind of weak for those older games, as it is with most older games, it was really kind of ballsy of them to choose somebody with female characteristics to go about that. I think originally Tomb Raider, they actually had a male character in mind before they switched it to a female. If I remember right, the character Von Croy that showed up in Revelation was supposed to originally be the pseudo character for Tomb Raider. But yeah, I mean, up until then, she really made a way for female characters to show up in other things like Bioware games and whatnot and be strong characters instead of like, oh, I need help, I phone and I can't get up, kind of thing. So as much as we like or hate old Laura, she gets a lot of credit for that.
Go ahead, Joe.
All right. I'm going to go with the one who came before that, who is a very super strong female, Samus. Samus, was in 1986, and yes, you were right with they did not show until the end that it was female, but I think that was part of, that's part of her thing. It's not important that she's a woman. She's a strong character in her own right, no matter what. She also was raiding caves and, traversing all the tunnels and all the maps and everything for Metroid, all on her own, no companions, and she is, in this game where it's dark and she's isolated, but she keeps her wit about her. She is, always upgrading weapons. She's always figuring out how to do things, and not bitching or complaining about anything. And also, again, there's no thing of over feminizing her. She has a big bulky suit. She's doing her thing and what needs to be done, and she isn't really super sexualized, unlike Lara Croft, especially old Laura. Very so yeah, I think she's a strong female character for any generation to look
I
up
only
to.
had so many polygons.
It was pixels back then, but for Samus at least. I'll give it to
Good
Zane.
thing.
Well, it's funny that you said old Lara Croft, because I picked new Lara Croft. I think she's a lot, like, she might not be, the
Now
tough
different.
character that the older one was, but I think she's a lot more interesting. She actually has an emotional arc that she's going through. And it's not like the emotions make her weak, it's the emotions make her a character. Like, she's developing into a tough person character. But she still has emotions. She still has development that she's going through. I think that makes her a better role model for people, that you can be strong and have emotions, have doubt, and also, tear people down. I think that's impressive. I think she's a distinctly female character, which we don't have a lot of. Like, Samus is a very strong character, but she's gender neutral or masculine in a lot of ways. She's still a good character, but she's not, oh, hey, there is a strong woman on the cover of the game. Like, it doesn't quite give you the same experience, I think, like, as playing a distinctly female character. So if we're looking for the strongest female lead, I think if you give those two things equal emphasis.
So you rather have a character that totally plays into the gender roles. I see how it goes.
I don't think she totally plays in the gender roles. Like, she is emotional and responsive, but she is not, just waiting to be rescued. She's learning to be tough. I think she's a lot more deeper than just a stereotype, which is one of my problems with the old Lara Croft, is that she was so heavily defined by, like, being a sex icon, as being the, hey, look, here's the 3D character with lady parts. Like, it was a step in a new direction, but it still had a lot of problems mired in when it was made. I feel like the new Lara Croft reinvents that, like, takes back that character, which I feel is a gutsy move, to take back this character with all this baggage and reinvent her as a positive role model, as a detailed character, and put her in some games that, by all accounts, are actually really good.
All right, Nick, what do you got for him?
Well, first to address Joe's, Samus gets through the caves and stuff without bitching and complaining. Jesus, dude, if you get her health low enough, she just keeps beeping and won't shut the hell up. She just keeps going and going.
Hey,
Just
she's
nonstop.
just, it's okay if Link does it, so, I don't see why it's
I
such a
didn't
big
say
deal she
Link
does
didn't
it.
do it either. I'm just saying that just completely takes away your whole point. She just won't shut the fuck up. Anyways, as far as Laura goes, I agree with you. She's a cool character. There's definitely better development there. In a way, I kind of see her as like a female version of Bruce Willis's character from Die Hard in some ways because of some unfortunate events that happened to her.
They
and that
beat the
they
shit out of
beat the
her.
shit out of her to the point where I almost felt like it wasn't necessary. Like they were almost like too much trying to drive their point across with her. But regardless, she is a good character. She is a better version of the old one. I 100% agree. But she would not have a pathway to that lore without the old one making a breakaway first. And as far as the sexualization, it was the 90s. Most guys were working on video games. There was a whole lot of ladies. And from what I understand in interviews, they only had so many polygons. So it was over-exaggerated because of limitations of the hardware at the time.
Poke your eye out with those things.
I know, so sexy.
Terrifying. Like I
I
get
mean,
the
look at it. It's a
But
it's
even-
literally a polygonal triangle. That's the technology that they were working with. That's why they said those consoles were complete shit and should never have happened.
I see why they did that, but I think they ran with it after that. It wasn't just a technical limitation. I mean, that became her whole media icon status.
Yeah, all the promotional
revolved
materials,
around
she was
that.
super sexualized. And also, I mean, her clothing in that doesn't make sense. In that first game, she's in the snowy mountains. Why the hell does she have short shorts and a tank
I'm
top?
not saying there weren't things done wrong back then. I'm saying that she helped open doors for more female characters.
The new
As
Lara
far as
owes a
back then,
lot to
it's
her,
the
but-
90s, dude. It's a bunch of old farts that are trying to sell video games, smoking cigars,
Oh,
and
see, that's not a
sexualizing
great
women to sell it to
use
small
for it.
teenage boys.
Yeah, I disagree. That is not a good answer. I mean, Samus is even before that, and again, a lot stronger character and not over sexualized.
But when she's revealed, isn't she in underwear?
Well, I mean, what else is she going to wear under her
I mean,
armor?
that
That's
kind of
probably
gets
what-
to my
yeah.
problem with Samus, or one of my problems with Samus. I really like Samus, is that they can't quite figure out how distinctly feminine a character she is. Like in the early games, if you play it through normally, you might not even realize that she's female. And I feel like that is not a strong, iconic female character. That is a strong, iconic character who happens to be female, but is not distinctly female. And I think there's something awkward that the player is rewarded for good gameplay by having her take off her clothes. Like, it does reveal it, but it reveals it in a very awkward, questionable way. And it's a little bit uncomfortable. Like, they continue to do that as more games came along. And it wasn't so much a secret that she was a girl in later games, but now I feel like the Zero suit is as iconic as the Varia suit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of disappointing. Like, it's not a coherent message of, like, she's a strong, tough character, and it doesn't matter that she's female. It's, like, is she the strong, genderless, like, gender-neutral character that she is in the early Metroid games? Or, like, what was that? The other M Samus.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's more gender stereotypes and more sexualized. It's kind of muddled for me. Whereas the new Lara Croft fixes a lot of stuff.
I mean, they're not busting her out with models and whatnot in promotional material, like Lara Croft used to be.
Yeah, and that's my problem with the old one. Like, the old one did really hit that hard.
And also, I mean, the Zero suit makes perfect sense because, I mean, she's wearing that armor. She's still going to need to wear something underneath. It's probably going to be form-fitting. And, yes, it does show off that she is female, but, I mean, again, it makes sense. She's not, you know...
I think the Zero suit makes sense from a story perspective, but I think the way they use it, where it's often as a reward, is a little
It's not really
uncomfortable.
a reward. It's not even a reward. They've never really had it as a reward. In Zero Mission... it's just part of the story. She ends up losing her armor in the catastrophe that
I
happened.
should say that that's in the older games. That's more of the reward. They don't do that so much anymore. Like, they've kind of switched away from that, and they've integrated into the story better.
And
so
I
that
don't
is
think
an improvement.
if I'm trying to remember if in Super Metroid if she even gets out of the suit at all. I don't believe she does.
I don't think she does. And I think in Metroid you had to do, 100% of absolutely everything for her to get out of the suit?
Mm-hmm.
And you see, I'm
Right.
still
That
not
was
sure
the only
about
way
that.
she
though,
was
the
ever
Right,
reward.
but they went back and they realized that mistake and they rectified it in Zero Mission and made it actually make sense. And it didn't have to be 100%. It wasn't necessarily a thing. It was actually part of the story and they made it make sense. Trying to create this strong female character that doesn't depend on her saying, "Hey,
I
I'm a
don't
female.
think
I'm
they
out
were
here."
creating
She
any
is just a
strong
strong
female
character
character.
doing her own self-exploration and
I think
everything.
what happened is some dude at Nintendo Japan thought it would be cool if somebody hit 100% if the suit came off and all said, "Oh, you were a girl the whole time." Shock.
Like I
Yeah,
think
that's
it's
part of
very
it too. It kind of put
I
that
don't think
shock into you,
I don't
thinking
think
that,
it
"Oh
was
my
ever
crap,
intended to be a
girl."
strong female character at first. I
Yeah, I
really
feel
don't.
like
I
that's
think it was a
really
shock at the
undermining her
end.
status as, like the first strong female character on the Nintendo. If you generally don't know that she's female, like if she's always
Anyways.
referred to
No,
as
that's the
pronouns.
point. Is to show you that, hey, this person that you looked to was this great character the whole time, and then all of a sudden, boom, whoa, she's female. Boom, blew your mind and made you realize that, wow, you have someone that's strong, and it didn't matter what her gender was.
Yeah,
She
but that's
is
only if you crush the game. Like if you just play it casually or you don't get all the way through it, you
I
have
think-
no idea.
And
I
again,
think
you guys
what
are
ended up
sticking
happening-
to the first one where, yes, that was the first one. That's how it was back then. But they rectified it later
but
in Zero Mission, which is a remake of the first one.
I feel like that undermines
which
it from the
came
start,
after
though.
the
It reveals
explosion.
intent of the
Okay,
creators of it.
guys, let me talk for a sec. Which came after the explosion of Lara Croft. Okay, like Samus, they kind of like alluded and always said that she was a female character. They didn't really focus on it afterwards, and it was really kind of like a niche thing back then. Like not many people knew about it. Once the whole female explosion thing happened after Lara, I feel like Nintendo said, "Oh, we kind of accidentally now have this female character that we can kind of like now do the same thing with." A lot of people were doing it, and I think if you go look at like a good example is like cosplayers, for example. A lot of female cosplayers, there's a lot more of them dressed up as Lara Croft than there is as Samus. That's just, at least from my experience. I go to PAX, I see Lara Crofts all over the damn place.
Well, also it's easier
Women
to be Lara
idolize
Croft than it
Lara
is
Croft despite her
Samus.
past stuff. Like I know tons of women that idolize Lara Croft just as much as like Indiana Jones or something like that. So, anyways, I'm gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, I think we've said about all we have for those three. So, can you get a judgment on that one?
Yeah, I just don't think there would be a pathway for your Laura
I,
unless it was for the first
I
one.
still think the whole reason though for
I
Lara
agree,
Croft
but I think
going
it's
up is
critically
because of the crazy, and she was put out there as a sex idol, not as a strong female character to begin with. That's what she was. She was a sex
Like I
idol.
love Samus, but I think she's a little bit flawed. That her gender was a secret. She's not iconically female. So I'm not sure if she's the best fit for this question. And I think the old Lara is just a little more problematic with how sexualized she was, how thin the character development was.
I think that's a problem too, but I think it's also she wouldn't have a place if it wasn't for the original one, as many female characters in video games.
I think that's true.
At
but
that
I
point,
think
that
the
was the
original,
breaking
the
point
new
in
one
my mind.
improves upon her.
I do need to fact check real quick. You didn't have to 100% Metroid for it to lose armor.
Okay.
You just had to finish it in under 5 hours.
All right.
All right.
I
You
remember
had
it was
to
something
crush
like
it.
that.
And then she loses the helmet, and you can see it's a woman.
Right.
Under
Okay.
3 hours, she loses the armor, like completely.
So
And
it's
actually,
weird
for the
reveal.
this is for the NES one. She's not actually in the bikini in that one. She's in a leotard. So there you go.
All right, I want to call.
Thought
this
I'd clear that up real quick.
Thank you. I want to give this one to Nick. We'll give this one to Nick. So.
Okay.
All right. So next question. Worst mechanic in an FPS. And Joe, you get to go first.
All right. One, I'm gonna go with Super Noah's Ark 3D. One, it's one of those things they had to go back and fix on the mechanics for the remake, but it's based off the old Doom engine, which already kind of, to today's standards, some of it is flawed where you can't look up and down. But some of the mechanics are you have a slingshot that you're shooting at animals and at specifically like goats or whatever to help round them up to get them on the ark. And some of the mechanics are that you are getting chased by the goats and you get attacked by them biting you. It like the whole game is just so silly and there is really like no mechanics to it other than that. It's pretty much it. You're just going around rounding up animals to get on the ark. And if anybody knows the story, I mean, you should only be getting 2 goats. You knock out like 100 of them. So the whole game is just
no
silly.
idea that was a thing.
Yeah, it's just very
Can
silly.
confirm lots of goats.
Yeah.
Maybe Noah really needed a lot of condoms.
A very overly simple game. There isn't much ammo choices. Yeah, and again, it's not really too much of a challenge since you're just getting attacked by melee. I think that's a weird mechanic for a first-person shooter. So.
Okay, we got a picture. We gotta see this. God, this looks fantastic.
Oh, there's more. There is more.
This is on the Super Nintendo?
Mm-hmm.
I never heard of this.
It looks like it was one of those Wisdom Tree games, and they were known for making
it is.
very
Wisdom Tree, yes.
the Christian-themed like platformers on the Nintendo. And I didn't realize they made any SNES games.
Look how pissed
That-
Noah looks.
That monkey has nipples.
Oh, actually, I should take that back. With the thing, apparently, they do. Some of the other animals do spit at you for damage, which is a very odd thing as well for hurting you. I'm sure it might, you might get a little bit of a sting getting hit with spit from like an ostrich, which don't have lips to spit at you, but
I played one of their NES games, and there were camels that would spit at you.
Yeah, that at least makes a little bit more sense.
Apparently, they love just animals that spit.
The NES games are scary because when you put them in to get past the NES lockout, it would just fry the NES 10 chip.
Oh,
Actually,
also,
they didn't. Like, I've got one, and it always worked fine. It wasn't
Also-
a great game, but it wasn't
No,
bad.
what it does is it's got a circuit in it that sends a surge to the NES 10 chip to fry it.
Never heard of our
It doesn't
NES.
work anymore.
Oh, also, one of the ammo in there for the slingshot ammo, a watermelon.
That sounds kind of
yeah.
funny.
That's kind of fantastic, actually.
It sounds funny, but when you actually play it, there's no way in hell you will ever get to the end, just because the game is so clunky and awkward. It's just not worth playing.
All right, Zane, go ahead.
I picked the key and crate system from Team Fortress 2. Like, the way that works is that you get these crates that will drop in-game, and then you can buy keys from the store, like for real money, that you can use to unlock them, and then get some random items out of there that you can then trade or keep or whatever. And it doesn't sound such a terrible idea. And Team Fortress 2 is really well known for its hat system and for getting all these items. But I think it's a sign of something insidious that's gotten in the games, and I've seen it spread to other games. This idea of getting an item that you then have to pay to unlock, and then that item is a gamble. Like, that item is no longer just a loot drop. It is an advertisement that you can buy the key or whatever to open it. And I don't like that mechanic. Like, I like the game to be the game. I like your drops to be just unconditionally good. They don't have to be great, but they shouldn't be an advertisement for you to spend real money so that then you can unlock the thing that you've gotten as a drop. I don't like that. I feel like it undermines the player's reward. I feel like it just slips in more advertising as gameplay. I don't like the gambling aspect of it because I feel like people should know what they're buying. I feel like it capitalizes on people who either have gambling impulses or just don't know what they're getting. It kind of bothers me, and Team Fortress 2 didn't do it so terribly, but they did it most popularly, and that opened the door for a lot of other games to do it. Like Guild Wars 2 does it. A lot of free-to-play games do it. I don't like it. I feel like it's a bad trend. It's not the worst kind of microtransaction, but it is still pretty bad. It's turning your rewards into an advertising sale where you buy a scratch-off ticket, and then you have to hope that you get something useful. I feel like it rewards all the wrong things.
All right, Nick.
I ended up picking noob tubes in Call of Duty because those piss me the hell off. So, I think flashbangs, noob tubes, whatever, and every other game is handled. We've got Counter-Strike or whatnot, And so when it happens, you get a bright flash, and it slowly goes away. You might lose your hearing for a little bit, or like get like the little ear ring. Pretty accurate because I've been flashed in real life. And like that's the best way to do it. I can still move. I can still like kind of like guess or get out of the way. Call of Duty, no. Somehow it slows down time, or more specifically, just you. Everybody else is running at full speed. So this is a way for people to just basically throw a cheat out there that keeps you from being able to react when they pop out a corner and go, haha, I threw something at you, and shoot you dead. It's always pissed me off. It's always a stupid way to handle it. I can't think of any way to make it better besides just get rid of it and do it the right way. And I think the new one has it because I got a copy from somebody today, and I think I got noob tubed, so I'm a little bit raging about that. But as far as like the other games, nobody's forcing you. I understand I don't like it either, but nobody's forcing you to do it. Nobody's forcing you to gamble anything. And Noah's was it Arc 3D, Super Arc, whatever.
Yes, Supernova's Arc 3D.
That looks fantastic. I think Final Save Point needs to look into this game a little bit deeper.
Nick, I want to clear something up real
You could
quick.
do the review of that.
Yo,
You're actually mad about the way they handle flashbangs, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because the noob tube is actually the grenade launcher for your assault rifle.
all right, whatever. I've always heard people call it noob tube. I don't know.
I'm just letting you know. Just making sure that's what you were arguing.
I'm fine
for.
with a grenade launcher. I can get out of the way. I hate the flashbangs. They piss me off. It's
Okay.
like I go into a time warp and everybody else is at full speed. What the fuck is that?
Okay.
You see, I think the flashbangs sound like a really interesting mechanic. Like, if you have a flashbang in real life, you have to wait for your head to clear, wait for your vision to go back to normal. It's disorienting. And
It
you
is
can't disorient the
disorienting.
player in real life, but I think that's a pretty good approximation of it.
No, it's not.
I mean, it
Okay.
sounds potentially frustrating,
No,
but it
no.
sounds clever.
This
I
is
don't
where I
know
have a
if you-
problem
like how
with it.
avoidable it is, but
No, because if you get flashed, you still can like jump to the left or right. If you still have situational awareness around you, you can still kind of like say, I can go to the left or right and duck behind cover and wait for my head to clear or something like that. That is something that you can do both in real life and something that you can do in like Source Engine games. That is something you can't do in Call of Duty because they effectively cripple your character. Like, that is a bad mechanic. It is just a shitty mechanic that I don't like. I've never liked.
I don't know. It still sounds interesting to me.
Yeah,
Like,
I think
don't
from
know
a,
if it's
from a
balanced or
gameplay
not, but-
standpoint, it sounds like an interesting way because it almost
does
sounds
it do
like because I've been flashbanging games before, and it really doesn't. It's barely a punish because you have that situational awareness still, and you can move it full, get out pretty fast. But with that, it actually does something a little bit more to you, and I think people learned too much how to handle the flashbangs.
From my point of view,
traditionally speaking.
if you flash somebody in, like, say, Counter-Strike or whatnot, and you don't capitalize on it, you don't move up and take the risk to try to take them out while they're blinded, that's on you. On this is effectively a cheat on the other players to capitalize on. That's my problem with it.
So does the flashbang deal damage?
It doesn't deal damage. It slows you down for what I think is an extended period of time, almost too long.
Okay. You see, that seems like a novel weapon to me. Like, all of your weapons, or most of them, deal damage, and so it's neat to see one that doesn't. I don't know if it's perfectly balanced, but I like the idea of it.
I can blindly fire and say Counter-Strike and still maybe hit somebody. I can't react and turn around and hit somebody with this.
I do have a little quick question about that. Which Call of Duties is it? And that it does that exact thing.
I know it's 3 up until maybe Modern Warfare. Modern Warfare 1 to 3. Definitely.
But actually, I'm talking about like the actual slowdown. It does it even in Call of Duty 3.
Oh yeah,
I
it
don't
did it
remember
for
that.
quite a while. I don't think Advanced Warfare had it. I swear it happened to me today though in Black Ops 3.
Because you could make the argument if it's the future ones, they changed it a little bit so it'd be more disorienting if you wanted to go with that route. But I think with the
Advanced Warfare, it felt like they made it more like Counter-Strike, where it just blinded your vision. It didn't actually slow you down. But it seems like even in the new one just came out, they went back to the old way, and I don't like that.
All right. I'd say with that, I'm seeing kind of okay with that. But actually, with the loot crate and key thing, I will argue that I am totally okay with that. As Nick said, is something that's not really forced upon you. You can kind of do it. But also, you got to remember, Team Fortress 2 is a free-to-play game. They need to make money some way. There is hats, but there would also be the other thing of buying the equipment. If you know what you're going to buy, everyone out there would just go and pay to win, basically. I think the loot crate thing is an idea to help level that playing field and kind of give you that chance. Maybe I will get something really good, but maybe I won't get something that's really all that great. And it makes it a little bit more level for everybody that's out there playing. I think it's an all right idea. Again, it's not forced upon you, but it's something that apparently it works. It's not terrible. I've played TF2, and it doesn't really hurt the gameplay at all, really. Where I think also this is worse mechanics. Now those are worse mechanic. I think the mechanics and just overall in Super Noah's Ark 3D overall, it's just not a very good game. It doesn't play well. It's not very smooth. It's not really challenging. There's so many weird things in that game that it just makes it an awful first-person shooter. It sounds silly, yes, as I say it, but if you actually sit down and play it after a little while, you realize it's not a very good game because of all those awful, weird-ass mechanics it has in it. Also, you're shooting animals. It's just weird.
We need to explore how terrible this game is.
Yeah, I won't argue that the Noah's Ark game is good, but I think it's interesting in that it is a family-friendly version of Doom. I think it's interesting that they took those mechanics or similar mechanics and tried to make something that would be cute and family-friendly, and hey, the kids can play this, and the concerned parents who aren't sure about all the killing can play it. And whether or not you agree with them, I think they succeeded at that part of it. It might not be a great game, but I don't know if there's anything overall wrong with it. Like, it's not good, but it came from they had some good ideas to it. It seems they succeeded at what they were trying to do.
Are considered really good games. Mine's not considered a good game because the mechanics are so bad.
I guess this is worst mechanics in FPS. So are we supposed to pick the worst FPS or the worst single mechanics?
Well, that's part of the argument.
I feel like the lock and key system stands out to me because I've seen so many other games copy that, and I feel like Team Fortress, by doing it and then people letting it go, has contributed to that. I think Payday 2, something like that, had a thing recently where they introduced these safes and drill system, and there's a big uproar about that. And I feel like even if Team Fortress 2 did it okay, I feel like people give them too much credit. They let that slide, and that gives too many other developers a chance to do that. I feel like we shouldn't just let Team Fortress 2 have a pass on that. I feel like it's hurting the industry in that aspect.
It's only got to be one mechanic. I've said this before. Titanfall, when we first started playing it, we were talking about how actually kind of cool the smart pistol was in a way, and then people start getting really good at it, and of course you got keyboard and mouse, you got a huge box, and I tried to go back and play it, and it ruined it for me, and it's ultimately why I had to quit Call of Duty for a while, is because those stupid flashbangs ruin it for me. It's basically a free kill every single time. I think in my entire time I played Call of Duty, through all of them, I've only had one instance where I've actually fired back and gotten to kill somebody, and it was because I happened to be pointing right in the direction where they were coming, where they threw it at. That was the only reason. If your back's turned, forget it, you're done.
All right, Jesse, you got anything for me?
The main thing I've found is that the flash grenades, at least up until Modern Warfare 2, did not actually slow you down. There was a stun grenade in Modern Warfare 2 that did slow you.
It didn't flash you.
It would still disorient you a little bit,
Right.
but it would totally slow you down.
Maybe you get mixed up.
That could be it. Other than that, everything has been pretty well right.
All right, I'm going to call this one, and I'm going to give this one to Joe.
Woo! out of my ass.
Does it gain frying
Just
like
like
text chip
the
when you put it
Dodgers.
in?
So actually, I haven't been keeping track. I don't know if Jesse or Rick has. What are
Zane
we
2, you 2, Nick 1. So, and we
So
got
this
one more
one I'm just
question to
gonna
go.
throw out my ass. How about that?
All right, so last question.
Oh,
What title
boy.
should Telltale get into that has not been announced or they have not done yet? And Zane, you get to go first.
I'd like to see them do a game based on, like the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, like J.K. Rowling's works. Not necessarily Harry Potter. Like I think they've done enough with that. I don't, yeah. But I think the world itself is such an interesting thing. Like, a lot of the characters in Harry Potter are kind of so-so. The narrative's a little strange at times. But I think what draws people to it is the world is so interesting. Like the secret world of magic and fairy tale creatures, and it pulls so richly from world mythology that I think there's a lot to explore there. And I think with the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them movies coming out relatively soon, that would be a perfect tie-in. If they could pick some, B character from the movie, follow their adventures, and that, like, marketing-wise, there's a lot of synergy there. They could put out the game alongside either the first movie or the second movie. It's a tie-in game. That would be good. They could explore the world. They could add to the narrative. I think there's a lot of potential there, and I think the world that they have is just such an interesting one to explore that they could do a lot with it. They obviously, like J.K. Rowling, obviously has a lot more to the world than she's put into the original Harry Potter books. Like, she's written a couple other books that tie into that. She's written Pottermore, which has a lot of interesting add-ons to the world, but not in a format that I think is particularly accessible or particularly interesting. I feel like this would be a better creative output for some of those, for some of that material. Like, if she could pass off, basically a world Bible or some direction for Telltale to go with. I think they could just knock it out of the park, taking those ideas.
Go ahead, Nick.
I honestly don't know anything about Harry Potter, first of all, because every time I try to watch it, I start doing this.
Movies, books, better. The world, fantastic.
So I've been playing a game lately that's a point-and-click adventure that I think Joe would back me up. That's completely awesome, called Tesla Effect. That game is fantastic. But it also brought up another thing that made me think the other day. It's live action. Telltale usually does these witty things. So when I say Star Wars, a lot of people are going to think I'd want a Star Wars game, maybe like Rebels or Clone Wars or something like that. I want a Star Wars game that could be like characters in between that would help tell the story between Return of the Jedi to the new movie, done in full motion video, like Tesla Effect. I think it's outside Telltale's wheelhouse. I don't know if they could do it, but I would like to see them try. It's something different, and I think maybe for once they wouldn't have delays because they're not dealing with polygonal characters actually shooting something. I don't know. For me, it would be far too interesting to see, and it's been too long since a shitty Red Bull Assault game. So maybe we can get something with higher quality and full motion characters. That'd be cool. Branching paths, things like that. That'd be really neat. But yeah, it's been something I think about lately. I'd like to see them try.
All right, Joe.
All right, this one's going to be kind of off the wall probably for a lot of people. I'm going to go with Hell on Wheels, which is based off an AMC show, which is also based on a real-life expansion of the Continental Railroad. And the reason I'm choosing this for many reasons. One, we need more Western games. That is something that is kind of missing. We have Red Dead and we had Gun. There really hasn't been that much, and I think one of the things that Telltale has, they really didn't hit their stride until they got into the more adult franchises, which Hell on Wheels is very, very adult. Walking Dead, Game of Thrones, Wolf Among Us. They're all great, great storytelling, and it wasn't until they got into adult manners of all the violence, also relationships between different people, and I think going off of what they've done with Game of Thrones and especially Wolf Among Us and Walking Dead, taking that and putting it into the Western vibe where you could be Cullen Bohannon, who could be trying to figure out how to get the Continental Railroad moving and dealing with things such as the prostitutes and all the racial problems they were having. And I think Telltale has shown that they can handle that, and they can handle that really well.
All right, Zane, what do you got for him?
Well, I don't doubt that Telltale could do a really good Hell on Wheels game, but when you said Hell on Wheels, I'm like, what is that? I've never heard of that. And a lot of their games are strongly licensed games, like The Walking Dead, Tales from the Borderlands, Game of Thrones. And you mentioned that they did like some adult games, but they also did a Jurassic Park game. They've got the new Minecraft story mode, Back to the Future. Like, it's in their wheelhouse to do a pretty good variety of games. And so I think Harry Potter, it is on the family-friendly side of that. I think they can still do it as well as they could do a gritty game. I'm sure they would do a good Hell on Wheels game, but I don't know if that's the right choice for them. Like, I don't know. It's definitely not as marketable as Harry Potter. I mean, I hate to say go with the one that will print money, but go with the one that will print money. I feel like there's so much cross-promotion they could do. Hell on Wheels might be a good game, but I don't know it's the right game for them to do. Like, they could make a great game, and they could make a ton of money doing it. It seems all right to me. As far as Star Wars goes, I was initially with you when you said Star Wars. I thought you could do something like Rebels or do something, in the CG realm that would fit their style pretty well, that they could do a lot of interesting stuff with. I'm not so excited about the idea of doing like a full motion video game. I think that's strange. I think it's strange to ask them to step really far outside of what they do.
Yeah, I'm with Zane on that one. I thought that was kind of a weird decision.
I mean, they might be good at it,
but we don't know.
But why do something that they might be good at when they can continue? I mean, they haven't run out of good ideas and good things to do within the style that they have. Like, it's good to push boundaries. I don't know if that's the boundary to be pushing.
Yeah. Also, I just want to say, I believe Telltale would not even be able to do Star Wars since I believe EA still has a contract for like the next 5 years or whatever.
No, it's a what if. Come on.
That is a bit. But even aside from that, though, I'm not sure that's the best thing to do. Like, taking a risk, especially on a big property like Star Wars, like the license is going to be expensive. There's going to be a lot of oversight from Disney on that. It doesn't seem workable. It doesn't seem likely. It seems like a bad place to do anything really risky with it. Especially with new movies coming up, I don't think Disney would be interested in shaking up the license or splintering the license into, like, here's the full motion video kind of grittier style, and then it seems like a strange choice to me.
It is a strange choice, but I would like to see them try. I think they can solve a lot of problems, like why stormtroopers keep missing. I mean, they obviously have Michael J. Fox in the thing, so they could make him a stormtrooper, and then that would be explained. So, but everybody's like, oh.
I love Michael J. Fox, but I don't think anyone needs an explanation for why stormtroopers keep missing. Like, that's, if you get into that, you're losing the suspension of disbelief.
Parkinson's.
Not even a joke.
I think, and also, like Wolf Among Us, which is based off the Fable comic book series, is a very not well-known title, but they blew it out of the park. And
I completely agree, and that did
it's a great game, and it printed money. It didn't necessarily have to be something big. And the thing is, Hell on Wheels is a pretty well-known show. It is done very, very well for AMC, and I think with that setting and all the stuff that goes on, it's something that should be done and needs to be done, and they could do it very, very well. We need more westerns, and their brand of storytelling would go really well. And also, you can even bring in people from the show to do the voices, and it'd be a nice thing for the people who do care about that franchise. And where it comes to Harry Potter, like...
No, not Harry Potter, like the world of Harry Potter.
It's still the franchise of Harry Potter.
Nitpicking.
Wizardry World, whatever. It's kind of a silly world to begin with, and I don't know how well they would go into that. what stories would they tell that would be really super interesting within the world that could top the Harry Potter series itself, and also that world and everything. It's not you have to confine it to a distinct story. It's not really super exploration. That's not something they're good at. And
It's
also
not something
bring it
they've
to-
tried.
Well, you're going to go back to the thing they haven't tried, which was going with what Nick. They haven't tried this before. Maybe they would be good at it, but I know for a fact that what they do, Hell on Wheels would be just perfectly right up their wheelhouse, and they could do it very, very well, and it'd be a fantastic game.
Wait. When you said they haven't tried, was that they as in the Harry Potter people, or they as in Telltale?
Telltale.
Oh.
Telltale.
Yeah, I was thinking the Harry Potter people. Telltale, I think they could, define a story that goes alongside.
Also, their family. You said with their family-friendly stuff, they have done it, but they didn't do anywhere near as well as when they started picking up the more adult licenses. That's when they started getting the very good games, the Game of the Years. That's when they started hitting their stride. You could even say with Back to the Future is kind of the borderline, and I think that even was the transition. I mean, you still hear Marty in one of the first lines in that game is, "Holy shit, Doc!" I mean, it's just, it's one of those things. It's more family friendly, but it's not. It's once they started getting to more adult themes.
First of all, Joe, do that again.
And that was horrible. I'm not doing it again.
Do it again.
Nope.
And if you want to go for printing money, I'm sorry, Star Wars beats Harry Potter.
Yeah, if you're going for printing money,
But it's not so risky though with what they're doing with with the full
Why
motion
would it be
video. Star
risky?
Wars.
I'm sorry, like Star Wars fans are like Apple fans. It could be complete shit, and they'll still buy it.
Yeah,
But the license will be expensive.
Was a thing. No one cares. Also, the license would be expensive, but that's not really. I don't think that'd be an issue. I'm sure the Harry Potter one would not be quite as expensive. It would still be super expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, what I would really like to see, I'm sorry, with a lot of these studios that they keep on doing the same thing over and over and over again, even though it might be a different story or whatnot, it does get repetitive. It does get boring.
To me, I feel like your argument would be for the people that do Tesla Effect to do Star Wars, not Telltale.
No, I'm saying that game made me want to see what Telltale would do with live action.
So
It's
I feel like live action is jettisoning some of their strengths.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like the right choice for them.
I mean,
What
they
would
have
be
their
the
engine,
strength?
they have their beautiful artwork with the great painted textures and everything. They have their style,
You
and
can still have that. You have to shoot it on a green screen.
real
It
people,
seems
you
like a
can
lot
paint
of
them.
unnecessary complexity. Like, why complicate it? Why not just do a regular Telltale Star Wars game?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why make it the full motion video? Why?
Because it's out of their
push that
wheelhouse. I
boundary?
think it would help suck people in a little bit more. There's people out there that don't play the games because of the art style.
Also, I think Disney would
like-
probably limit them to. They would totally be all over Telltale, not letting them do what they do best. They would be way too controlling over that.
Yeah,
So,
that's
They don't want another
speculation. We don't know
Masters
that
of
for sure.
granted they own Marvel now, but even so, they've been telling artists and whatnot, make sure you don't do anything with like the Slave Leia costume. I mean, they're being very, very controlling.
Well, that's like I don't see how not doing anything with the Slave Leia uniforms anything controlling. It's just like it's been up in arms lately because people are like, "Oh, Slave Leia, I need to cover my kid's eyes," and they're like, "No." That's the only thing I'm getting from it. I don't know what you mean by that. I have never seen them like say anything super controlling about it since they've owned it. I've seen Lucas be super controlling with it.
They have told their artists not to show any depictions of her.
I think
And-
Joe's
yeah.
worried that they'll strangle Telltale's creativity with having the massive corporate oversight of Disney.
Mhm.
And I think they've done nothing but be good about the Star Wars franchise so far. And I think they would only help
With
maybe
what,
strengthen-
Rebels? That's all we've seen in a little bit of the comics.
All right.
We have
then.
yet to see the movie, so.
All right, Jesse, you got anything for me?
Not a damn thing.
We need to use more facts.
What am I supposed to look up?
I don't know.
Like, I have no idea what I can actually bring to the table in this one. This is 100% opinion.
So give me some insight for your opinion. What do you think?
Well, the thing is, I haven't watched any of those but Star Wars. I read half of the Harry Potter books, and my parents watch Hell on Wheels. I can confirm that there's prostitutes. That's about as far as that goes.
All right.
Whether or not Telltale actually has a thing in any of this.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry, Nick, but I think they killed you again.
Oh no, I
And-
was throwing it out anyways.
And so Joe give me a final statement, and then Zane give me a final statement.
I think everything that Telltale has done so far has shown that they could do a adult storyline with a very driven main character solving problems, and they could do the Western style very well and be very compelling.
All right, Zane.
Great story.
With Telltale, I think the timing is right to do a Harry Potter game. I think the world is right. That's an interesting world that they can develop their own interesting characters to go alongside a strong branding initiative in the form of the new movie. I think there's a lot to explore, and I think they do a great job exploring it and telling a story in that world. So I think the brand's a good fit for them.
All right. I just want to throw my 2 cents in real quick. I think an excellent Telltale game would be a Monty Python game.
I'm worried about that. Like that'd be too.
Well, but instead of
drinking from the
like,
fire hose.
no, it's fine because instead of like, moral decisions, like how can I fuck this guy up instead, or how can I fuck this up as bad as possible? I think it would be great. Anyway, with that being said, I'm going to have to go with Joe.
Oh,
It was,
Oh, this feels weird.
Honestly,
A bold move, Cotton.
That is a bold move.
honestly, as soon as he said Western, he had me.
yeah, I know. That's
'Cause I would
kind of
love
where I
to
was
see
going
that.
to. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. And to throw my 2 cents in too about Animal Companion, Shadow from Dead to Rights was an awesome animal companion.
It was.
He would,
Oh,
he
there's.
would, he would
sure.
completely rip people apart for you. I mean, he was an awesome companion.
Whatever. My animal would suck your animal's life force out.
And rip it apart. All right, Joe, go for it, man.
All right.
Finish
Well,
it out.
I guess I am the champion. So I will be the one that everyone will be looking to take down in the future. But as of right now, basically what is going on right now is this is the last show of the year. For this show, we'll be waiting until at least after the new year to be doing another one. I will be looking to get some special guests. But until then, be on the lookout. We will be doing at least one more chronology, some lemon stand will be done. And I'm sure Nick always keep an eye out for him streaming. He always streams at twitch.tv/cellprocessing.
Steam
If the-
controller review incoming soon.
Yeah, Steam controller review is coming. Is there anything else I am missing? I don't think so.
Probably a live stream of Noah's Ark 3D at some point.
Yeah, I think that's gonna.
You've
have to
shared
happen.
this with the world now.
New Year's
Yeah,
Eve.
I'm ashamed. But
also,
I will be at. Me and Steve will be at PlayStation Experience, so be on the lookout. We will be posting some stuff on that. And I think that is everything I have for now. So I want to thank you guys for joining me on the championship edition of the show. Zane, you're a worthy opponent. I was worried there.
Thank you. Put up a good
I will
fight.
be honest. Harry Potter would be great
Right?
for them. It would be fantastic. Star Wars would be too, but not full motion video. I don't know what the fuck you're
Yeah.
thinking.
Throw that out. Star Wars would be amazing.
Yeah.
I just really went that way because I wanted to see Michael J. Fox in a stormtrooper
Aw,
uniform.
and of course, always thank you, Rick, for hosting. You're always my second in command. And Jesse, you're the cabin boy around here. Thank you for
Yeah.
fact checking.
We couldn't do it
Yeah.
without you.
So also, always jessec.com for his art.
Yep.
And thank you everyone for watching. Hope you enjoy. Have a good night and subscribe if you liked.